Hello there, welcome to GRTS News at 2000 hours. In our headlines tonight. President Barrow presides over the swearing-in of a new cabinet as 20 ministers take the oath of office. Turkish security assessment team visit the Gambia to assess the country's security preparation ahead of the hosting of the OIC summit. And ex-students of one of the country's oldest senior secondary schools return to support the teaching of science and technology at their alma mater. On the internationals, South Carolina's Chester County was once home to a bustling textile industry, but most of those facilities have closed. We will find out why. Plus, it's that time of the year for the Buddha's birthday, which is celebrated globally every year on the 8th day of the 4th month of the lunar calendar in southwest China. But stay tuned for these and more stories in detail. I am Fatu Elika Muloshi, and many thanks for joining us. Welcome back. We begin this bulletin with the presidency because His Excellency Adama Barrow has challenged his cabinet to develop and nurture a culture of high-level performance, productivity and results within specified timeframes in their respective ministries by providing strong leadership, responsive policies and transformative programs to effectively impact on national development. President Barrow was speaking after the swearing-in ceremony of 20 cabinet ministers at the State House in Banjul. As we hear in this report by our Presidential Affairs correspondent, Mamadou Jallo, the Gambian leader also vowed to stamp out corruption and indiscipline in the civil service.
And the new Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service took the 3 oaths of office, allegiance and secrecy at the ceremony at State House conducted by the Secretary of Cabinet, Ibrahim Sisi. The new Vice President, His Excellency Badra Ali Juf, led the pack, which includes several veteran ministers and newcomers. 9 members of the old cabinet, most notably Honorable Hamad N.K. Ba, Musa Drame, Ibrahim Silla, Dr. Ahmadu Lamin Samate, Dr. Mamadou Tangara and Claudiana Cole kept their posts, while newcomers such as Serif Abasanyang, Rahi John Manjang, Dr. Demba Sabali, Abdullah Job and Dr. Pierre Gomez were also sworn in. After taking their oaths, the new ministers signed the oath register and were individually congratulated by the President. The new composition has been praised for its inclusivity and diversity, drawing people with vast experience and expertise in their various fields. The appointment of this 20-man cabinet has raised expectations amongst Gambians, who are eager to see results as the President begins another 5-year term after receiving an unprecedented mandate. His Excellency Vice President Badra Juf hammered this point, calling for teamwork, dialogue and coordination amongst ministers to attain the National Development Plan.
The appointment to cabinet is a privileged one, but the position is not driven by privileges. It is and should be driven by performance, by results, by delivery, and by development. To do that, we have to work as a team. And to work as a team, we need to consult, we need to coordinate, we need to cooperate, we need to dialogue.
The Vice President outlined the 2 urgent priorities that he believes should be tackled head-on to improve the lives of citizens.
There are some pressing challenges that are facing us recently. One is the crisis of the rising cost of living. The second challenge is the security situation in this country. Again, the same challenge goes to the Minister of Interior, to the Minister of Defense, to the security outfits of this country, and see how best we can address those things so that this place is safe for everybody, it is safe for investment, it is safe for tourism.
The President, His Excellency Adam Barrow, congratulated the new ministers, but urged them to provide the necessary leadership to enable government deliver on its development priorities.
The leadership in government institutions sets the tone, the pace, discipline, and efficiency levels for the personnel. I challenge you to develop in your ministries a culture of high-level performance, productivity, and results within agreed time frames. This goes way beyond party politics.
President Barrow described the last 5 years as challenging, given the difficult socio-political environment, but warned that it would not be business as usual as far as delivery, competence, and efficiency are concerned.
Your appointment to cabinet have come at a time when Gambians want government to be held accountable. This is an era in which the citizens are better informed and politically more active. We have to redouble our efforts to deliver on providing better living conditions and a conducive environment that sustains improved livelihoods. We will never catch up with other nations if we continue to focus on individual growth instead of reorienting ourselves collectively for the general welfare of all citizens.
The President also frowned on corruption, imploring ministers to take a zero-tolerance stance on this activity that continues to drain public finances. He finally assured ministers of his support, whilst also encouraging them to work in harmony and sincerity. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS News.
But still on the new cabinet, what have Gambians been saying about the president's pick and the expectations of the executive? MS Jallo has been sounding the reactions of the people on what they think should be a priority of the new government.
See happen in the new cabinet?
Yeah, I think, they need to, and this has been interesting. I think people have been having that kind of conversation, that this is the first time that we were able to, we have to wait for 6 o'clock to listen to the pick, and before, people. So this time we did not see that. I think that's encouraging in that sense. So what I want to see with this cabinet, let them work together, let them work for the country, but also let them work towards fighting corruption, inefficiency, and I think even the new additional ministry, perhaps now still we are not clear in terms of what will be the relationship with that ministry and the personal management office, but we are happy that, there's a thinking around reform, and that reform must start with the constitution, must start with addressing issues of corruption, must be open and transparent. And I think with that, now it's time to work, and we need to work for this country.
Your expectations?
Well, I'm expecting a cabinet that delivers. I'm expecting a president that delivers, because we did not just vote for him to be shouting, but we voted for people to deliver. And I think now the responsibility is to support them, but to support that to include holding them accountable. And I think this is where every one of us should participate and be part. And I am looking for a Gambia that is unified. The idea of one Gambia, one people. I think that is the next step that President Barrow needs to start taking. He needs to start focusing on unifying the people.
Let them be initiative. They shouldn't be sitting at their offices alone. Let them go in the real market and know what's going on in the Gambia. Because most of the ministers, what they know is being in their cars to the office, from office to home. So you don't actually interact with people to know what's their problems. And once you don't know someone's problem, you cannot solve the person's problem. Yes.
What are the areas you want to see being given due attention in the new cabinet?
Those are, I think it will be very simple. That should be agriculture and education, especially agriculture, because right now we are all experiencing a problem in the Gambia of things have been hard, but all our products are coming from outside, while we have a huge lands here. You know, we can cultivate rice and onions, Irish potatoes. You know, we have to feed ourselves. Agriculture Minister, I am challenging you to step up and be very initiative. Yeah.
If Barrow regulates civil servants, you regulate a lot of stuffs, but look into the civil servant, how people go to and fro the works and the transactions that happen into it. Not to mention the corruption, but all falls under regulating civil servant. If those things are well set and they are in play, I'm sure the rest will follow suit as well. But my biggest perspective is to regulate the civil servant.
Across all our ministries, what we lack as a country is policy. When I say policy, it's not only about laws to condemn this, it's internal policies of our offices. That is what is really not surfacing. And then if you want to develop as a country, you really need to have a framework to work by. And then that is what exactly we are lacking. So I think each and every appointed minister at this point should make that a priority. And two, work ethics as well. We really have a problem with ethics as far as our workspace is concerned. I'm not saying that people are of not professional nitty-gritties, but of course they need to have the patriotism instilled in them. And if we do not have that instilled in not just the ministers, but also the people that work for them, we are just going back to where we come from. And I feel that is their number one area, not about the donations that they are going to brag about or about the buildings that they're going to bring, because those buildings would not have proper, should I say, proper qualities they need to have if the correct policies are not in place. So I think policy development should be their first priority. As a nation, that is what we need.
First, policies first. Second, and the others?
Well, second, we can then look at their respective mandates, because that is why I started with the fact that if you don't have a good foundation, you cannot build them. And second, I think we also need to look at how the contractors we give our issues to. Like for instance, we have to run away from the issue of technical know-who and technical know-how. And shift to technical know-how. We have to make sure that now everything that we do is first job, how they call it how they say it in Wolof. We have to make sure that every single individual now has the zeal, or every single person we are given the contracts to or implementing authority to have the zeal and passion for this country. Because if we want to give our implementing authority to people that just want finance and that's all, we are really going to fulfill their dreams of becoming financially stable and not the dreams of the country of having issues that are sustainable.
Impressions there from people on President Barrow's new cabinet. Well, away from that, the Gambia OIC Secretariat has on Tuesday received a high-powered delegation from the Republic of Turkey on a security assessment mission in the Gambia. The visit is meant to assess the level of security ahead of the summit in an effort to support the successful hosting of the OIC summit. Details in this report by Yusuf Aboja.
Visiting Turkish Technical Assessment Team had a meeting with the Deputy Chief Executive Officer and Senior Management of the OIC Gambia Secretariat at the Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara International Conference Center in Bijilo. In his welcoming remarks, the Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Bokar C, extended gratitude to the government of Turkey for supporting to host the summit.
Turkey is one of the best. I can tell you, if it is about artificial intelligence usage in security, Turkey is number 2 after United States and Malaysia. They are very good at that. They have lived through it. Every day they are into challenges related to terrorism, and they know how to share intelligence. Definitely in that way and along that route, I can tell you that the preparedness as far as their experience, their expertise, and the confidence and the dependability, it is something that I would say I would applaud, and then I would feel confident to work with them.
The head of the mission, Tagay Olgon, said the assessment will avail them the opportunity to meet with different security outfits, assess summit security in terms of personnel and equipment, and identify areas for support.
Gambiya için ayırdığı mali bir fon var mı? Yani Arap ülkeleri yolları yapıyor, şey yapıyor. Alacakları ihtiyaç ve malzemeler için bir mali bir kaynak var mı? İslam İşbirliği Teşkilatı'nın Gambiya için ayırdığı, bu zirveyi düzenleyebilmesi için ayırdığı mali bir kaynak var mı?
The head of communication at the OIC, Fali Fadera, said the visit will give the delegation the opportunity to assess concerned agencies to know their needs. He commended the government of Turkey for offering trainings to security officers at the summit.
They have been very, very, very supportive and helpful from the beginning. In the area of security, as my boss said, in the area of protocol training, tourism, etc., etc. So we will continue to explore those opportunities to see how we can build up on that to make sure it's a win-win situation for both them and the Gambia, particularly Gambians, because we like to use the summit to build the capacity of every sector of this country. And we are very happy to know that Turkey is a reliable partner, a willing partner to support. The mere fact that this delegation, a high-level delegation of this magnitude is here, that in itself is a demonstration of commitment on their side.
The delegation, while in the country, are expected to meet with the police department and visit the OIC project sites such as Sadauda Keraba, Chawara International Conference Center, the airport VIP lounge, and hotels. Yusuf Bojang, GRTS News.
A Muslim Senior School Ex-Science Students Association of 1995 on Tuesday donated scientific equipment worth over $1 million to the school. The event held at Brusubi brought together school authorities, students past and present. Majan Barrow reports.
In taking up corporate responsibilities as ex-students to give back to a former school, the ex-science students of Muslim Senior Secondary School class of 1995 made their first presentation of lab items to Muslim Senior Secondary School worth over $100,000. The vice principal of Muslim Senior Secondary School, Fansu F. Bojang, complimented the ex-students for the timely gesture, adding that the equipment will be very vital to the students in their practicals.
Science department because we are science students. So we want to give as much as we can to this science department. Just about how to these people are here to give something to this school. So we must thank them for that one.
According to the head of Science Department, Muslim Senior Secondary School, Adegunji T. Adejuyi, the Ex-Science Students Association of 1995 previously visited the school to know the exact materials needed, and he is optimistic that the items will go a long way in easing the teaching of science practically, including physics, chemistry, and biology.
In the next 2 weeks now, we'll be speaking to a WAS, which is going to be practical research course, practical physics, and we need many of these items. Do not stress of going around with material when the WAS starts.
The Secretary General of Muslim Senior Secondary School Ex-Science Students Association of 1995, Dr. Pamodu Sanko, said they are so proud to be the first Science Ex-Students Association to donate the school, and the gesture should serve as an example to the present students, to the present students of the school to emulate in the future.
The school, Muslim high school, giving us, education we can use to build them today. So basically, we present the item and we hope it will be beneficial to students. This is going to be an annual event. We're going to make sure everything on that list and more will come, and inshallah, what will help us achieve that goal.
Speaking on behalf of the students, the head boy of Muslim Senior Secondary School, Mamadou Jallo, thanked the donors for the timely gesture and promised to make good use of the equipments. The lab items include 10 ammeter, 10 thermometer, 10 diverging lens, 12 register standards, 5 slotted mass, 20 funnel, 50 test tube of boiling water, 5 packets of laboratory gloves, amongst others. Majan Barrow for GRTS News.
Now, Sino Majilak Gelbag Company on Tuesday briefed the media on a 400-meter beach they nourished, which suffered from sea erosion. The exercise, as Kedia Tujalo reports, is meant to mitigate environmental disaster and protect the area.
The Sino Majilak Jalbak Company on a massive philanthropic venture to expand its social corporate responsibility. Officials of the industrial farm say they are on a committed quest to intervene, show solidarity in the protection of the Gambia city. The company's proprietor Omar Jang renewed his organization's commitment to serve the Gambia in mitigating environmental disasters.
Most developed countries today, their development within land reclamation, within land like beach nourishment and everything was done through dredging. You take Cote d'Ivoire, you take Nigeria, you take Dubai, you take Indonesia, Bali. So we want the same thing for our country. As Gambians, we have the capability and we care a lot about the environment, and we want to show another side of Sino Major, where we will be able to do a lot around Banjul to protect our capital, which is on a low. We have a lot to do along the combos from Kamalo, from Cape Point, from the beach nourishment, from BB, right up to Kairaba Hotel. You would see that there is no beach today in Senegambia. So the press conference, the purpose is to demonstrate our capability, our expertise, and our willingness to make a difference in our country.
Managing partner Papa Alaji Samate highlighted the positive effects of dredging in protecting the overflow of seawater.
Dredging a place, a city like Banjul also needs dredging around it. Why do you need dredging around Banjul? Because Banjul is an island and it's quite low. So the example is like a gutter. If you have a gutter outside your house, the gutter will be used to collect water so that it can drain it. But when the gutter is full, what happens when the water comes? It will spill all over the place. So it's the same as this rivers and what is it called, ozone rivers and so on. They are deep, but over time they get sedimented. When they get sedimented, material fills in there. It blocks the depth. The depth, gets shorter and shorter. In a sense, the draft is lower and lower. So what happens when that happens? Whenever you have a lot of rain, a lot of water wants to enter. It cannot enter because it's too full already. It will spill over. So this is what we should avoid. So the edges of Banjul needs to be higher, but the waters need to be deep enough for navigation as well as to make the place, flood free.
Mr. Samate said the exercise is needed every 5 years to protect Banjul and other areas in the tourism industrial zone affected by erosion. As the first indigenous company equipped with tools and machinery to dredge water bodies, Sino Majinak Jalbak has been working to expand its work and impact, especially in the capital city. The company is mainly involved in sand dredging and nourishing, among a host of activities officials say is geared towards mitigating environmental disasters.
The point is, when you go to the Combo Coast today, I challenge everybody, or anybody who has never been there before, to just literally go to Sanyang, to Gunjur, to Katong, and see for themselves. You don't have to be told what has happened there. The disaster you will see with your own eyes will shock you. And this company, that's the only reason why it's doing the dredging, because that will help to mitigate that disaster. Dredging from the sea is the way forward if we want to save our environment.
400 meters of the capital beach stretch is being nourished to increase coastal resilience along the GGC and Watna Garden area. The project also provides an opportunity to expand development projects in the city's outlying region. Khadijatu Jallow reporting for GRTS News.
Moving on, officials of the Renewable Energy Potential in the Gambia REPGAM project continued their visits to intervention sites in the West Coast region. The delegation visited the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority, Banjulinding Opa and Senior Secondary Schools, as well as the community of Gunjur. Usman Mane is with the delegation and he tells us more.
The REPGAM project is not limited to providing renewable energy sources for beneficiary communities, including public institutions, but also contribute to the country's national determined contributions, NDCs, in mitigating the impact of climate change. The use of fossil fuel in generating electricity is among the contributors to climate change through carbon emissions. The Banjul International Airport, under the management of the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority, receives their energy sources through the use of fossil fuel by a NAWEC and a standby generator. Speaking to RepGam visiting delegation in Yundum, engineering manager Robert Gomez explains that the current energy capacity of the institution is at 1,000 kVA and 1,285 kVA respectively. He commended RepGam for the sustainable measure put in place ahead of the project implementation.
And we are pleased that some of our technicians have already been sent for this course, so that when they come, they will be equipped with the know-how, the knowledge, and the expertise to be able to start working on this panel and to maintain it, because we want something that is sustainable, is durable, and which is maintainable. That's all what we want, because that will help us mitigate. And the problem of this changeover is very, very important to us, because when the national grid is off, the time the generation will come on, to bridge that gap of blackout, it should be 15 seconds. Yes. And if we have the solar panel for that, then obviously we would have beat that.
The head of delegation, Dr. Ibrahim Sonko, highlighted the need to cut down GHG emissions to improve the country's adaptation strategies to climate change.
So we'll be implementing this solar system for all the benefits, at the same time assessing carbon emission. Because if you look at the airport, if the power goes off from our main grid, you use a generator, and this generator usually emits carbon dioxide. So, and we understand that airport usually is part of their requirement that they don't usually need vegetation around the perimeter of the airport because of bird strikes. So we can use solar to mitigate. So if you can't plant trees, but at least you can use solar to mitigate the emission of greenhouse gases. So that's the essence of this project.
After 2 decades since establishment, Banjul Nding Upper and Senior Secondary School will receive their first ever major renewable energy project. According to the school authorities, students of the school face insecurity as banditry in the area affects their remedial classes in the evenings. With the provision of street lighting and electricity in the school, will address some of their challenges which RepGam is set to deliver. The village of Gunjur is a growing settlement in Kombo South. During a need assessment, the community places street lighting as a priority for its people. An elder of the village, Dambature, who deputizes the Alcalo, explained the commitment accorded to the project by the people of the community. He later went with the team to the proposed site where the community identified to construct the solar platform. However, negotiations are still ongoing with the health authorities to that development. This is the first outreach for the administrative and financial staff and other stakeholders to visit the project implementation sites since the launch of the RepGam project. The tour continues to beneficiary communities in rural Gambia. Usman Mane, GRTS.
Stay with us. The international news is up next, right after this break.
Here are a few steps. Go to the nearest Afri agent. Tell them how much you want to deposit. Give the agent your number and the cash. You will receive an SMS notification from 777 confirming the deposit. To check and confirm your balance, dial *777#. Select option 7, My Account. Select option 1, Check Balance. Enter your PIN to receive your balance. With AfriMoney, Sajahle Jehna.
Welcome back. Now, Chester County, South Carolina, was once home to a bustling textile industry, but most of those facilities have closed. Sunfiber has helped reverse some of the economic hardship here. 2 production lines run 24 hours a day. They employ about 200 U.S. staff and about 20 Chinese employees. Now, the business model at Sunfiber is all about sustainability. They take recycled plastic bottles and turn them into feeling like this. It ends up in pillows, sofas and chairs. CGTN's Jim Spellman reports.
In this sprawling building, huge machines are humming away. This is Sunfiber, a Chinese-owned company operating in the U.S. state of South Carolina. The business model at Sunfiber is all about sustainability. They take recycled plastic bottles like this and turn them into filling like this that ends up in pillows, sofas, and chairs. They begin with shredded recycled plastic bottles, known in the trade as PET. The material is cleaned, processed, and packaged. In 2013, Sun Ya came to the U.S. from China to find a good place to base a business. She ended up in South Carolina.
It took us about 2 years of research, including the investigation of the investment environment in the United States and the environmental business cooperation in the recycling industry worldwide, from raw materials to finished products to the market.
The factory opened in 2015. The company also owns a recycling facility about an hour away.
Sustainable development is a very big concept: conservation of the earth and biodiversity and so on, from clean production and general manufacturing to, say, the new energy industry.
Chester County, South Carolina was once home to a bustling textile industry, but most of those facilities have closed. Sun Fiber has helped reverse some of the economic hardship here. 2 production lines run 24 hours a day. They employ about 200 U.S. staff and about 20 Chinese employees. Stephen Turner is a production manager. Back in 2015, the company sent him to China for 3 weeks to learn how to operate the specialized equipment. He returned and trained a crew of employees.
This particular area is in a big economic downslump when all the textile mills closed down. So we had more labor than we had employers. Now we have more jobs than we have people to fill them right now.
Danny Christopher is also a production manager at Sun Fiber. He says it's a good job and a good business model.
It matters here and it matters everywhere else in the world. It's being reprocessed to be a usable product, so it makes the environment cleaner.
The company tries to have an impact beyond just the jobs they provide. Sun Fiber is active in the local community. They donated $50,000 to build this library at East Point Academy, a bilingual Chinese-English charter school. Harry Lightsey is Secretary of Commerce for South Carolina. He attended a business roundtable focused on sustainability, sponsored by the China Greater Chamber of Commerce.
Sustainability is actually a new and I think a very vital economic vector for the state.
South Carolina has welcomed Chinese-owned businesses like Sun Fiber and Volvo, which is owned by a Chinese holding company. Volvo has invested more than $1.2 billion in South Carolina. A factory there will soon begin producing electric vehicles.
We're very proud of the numbers of Chinese companies that have chosen to invest in South Carolina. They bring their capital here, they create jobs for our citizens, companies like Sun Fiber.
The relationship works both ways. China is now South Carolina's 3rd biggest export market. These have not been easy political times between the U.S. and China. How do you navigate that?
History has proven that isolation, it just does not work. The United States and China are the #1 and #2 economies in the world, and they are inextricably linked through trade relationships. And history has proven that that is a very healthy environment and healthy mode of exchange, even when political relationships are difficult.
Sustainable business that may help create more sustainable ties between China and the U.S. Jim Spellman, CGTN.
Well, Buddha's birthday is celebrated globally every year on the 8th day of the 4th month of the lunar calendar. In southwest China, where for centuries there's been a healthy ethnic mix, the different peoples enjoy coming together to mark this special occasion. Kangding City in western Sichuan province is renowned throughout the country for a love song. However, the way it marks the Buddha's birthday is also quite well known.
This town in western Sichuan province is renowned throughout the country for a love song. However, the way it marks the Buddha's birthday is also quite well known. This time of the year, people converge on Kangding from all directions for the annual celebration. Starting in the early morning, they circle temples, mountains, and even the whole town. They pray for good weather as well as good health for themselves and their families.
After the blessing ceremony, people of all ethnic groups would gather on the horse-racing mountain to have a rest. And this gradually evolved into a traditional carnival where families can enjoy music, dancing, and delicious food in the open air.
Tibetan opera performances draw on the dancing steps of the sorcerer's dance of Tibetan Buddhism temples. There's also a Tibetan folk dance called Muya Guozhuang, whose dance movements derive from daily activities on the plateau, such as planting, harvesting, and weaving.
We Tibetans have a sense of ceremony. We like to celebrate festivals by singing and dancing.
I came here with my colleagues, lots of young people, including Tibetan and Han. We had a lot of fun. We live and work together in an inseparable way.
So how has it come to be that different ethnic groups live together here? Well, it has to do with Kangding's geographical location. It has served historically as a perfect meeting spot between the Sichuan Basin and the Qinghai Tibet Plateau. Since the 10th century, Kangding has been a center for trading, which has brought about the spread of culture and religion.
Kangding is a multi-ethnic settlement area. Residents here have various cultural backgrounds, religious beliefs, and customs, which can all be appreciated during the Buddha's birthday.
郭天琪 CGTN 康定 Sichuan Province.
Well, viewers, that brings us to the end of this bulletin. But before we take leave of you, here's a quick look at our top stories once again. President Barrow has presided over the swearing-in ceremony of his new cabinet as 20 ministers take the oath of office. Turkey's security assessment team is visiting the Gambia to assess the country's security preparation and needs for the hosting of the OIC summit. And ex-students of one of Muslim senior secondary schools have returned to support the teaching of science and technology at their former school. In the international, Chester County, South Carolina, was once home to a bustling textile industry, but most of those facilities have closed. Plus, it's the time of the year for the Buddha's birthday, which is celebrated globally every year on the 8th day of the 4th month of the lunar calendar in southwest China. With that, we draw the curtains on this bulletin, but I will be back again at 2200 hours for more. Until then, enjoy the rest of our programs.
Hello, Sister Nya here, and today we are doing the unboxing of the Apicel 4G LTE CPE router. Have you gotten yours yet? Here it is. All right, now let's do the unboxing of the Apicel 4G CPE router. I do love the sound.